Get out your hammers and make sure your trap doors are properly calibrated because it's time we discuss the elephant in the room.
Boo!
Okay, that was bad. Episode 7 was an absolute bombshell of new information, so in this video we're gonna break it all down and go over some insane new theories. You're gonna want to stick around for the whole video since we'll be discussing what Ozymandias was really trying to say in his help message, True's real father, the elephant, and that big Dr. Manhattan reveal at the end of the episode. So strap on in, because here we go. The very first image is of the Watchmen title on an old TV as we hear a VHS being loaded. Young Angela will later keep a VHS of Sister Night, the blaxploitation film which she used as inspiration for her vigilante alter ego. This transitions us to a short documentary explaining the origins of Dr. Manhattan, fitting since the end of this episode marks Manhattan's return. There are some cool Easter eggs here, like the New Frontiersman, a far-right leaning publication claiming fair and balanced journalism, a jab at Fox News. We learn how Dr. Manhattan grew up in Germany and immigrated to the US as a young boy. Now this is interesting because we know Angela's great-grandfather served in Germany in World War I. Could he have run into John's parents? Is there a deeper connection there that we don't know about? Regardless, Dr. Manhattan would later go on to win the Vietnam War for America, giving them their 51st state. Speaking of Vietnam, we're transported there to the year 1987, where we meet young Angela. It's VVD Day, or Victory of Vietnam Day, and people are celebrating. Angela scrolls through a selection of top-notch VHSs like Trunky over here, a foreshadowing of the elephant that's to come. We also get the film adaptation of Fog Dancing, the book Mrs. Clark was reading in episode 4, as well as Silk Swingers, a reference to Silk Swingers of Suburbia, a B-movie mentioned in the graphic novel about the original Silk Spectre. Young Angela chooses Sister Night. Notice the blue bows in her hair, blue being a common color her character wears throughout the episode. Even in the scene where Lady True and Angela eat together, there's a blue fish, hinting that Dr. Manhattan has been in front of us this whole time, just hidden. HBO's Peteypedia page has more info about this masked vigilante, telling us she was a devout nun by day, crime-fighting badass by night. Her parents, like Angela's, were murdered. Sister Night is also married to God. She's a nun, just like Angela is married to a god, Cal. We get a glimpse of a Dr. Manhattan puppet show, perhaps a nod to Manhattan's line in the comics where he says to Laurie, quote, "We're all puppets, I'm just a puppet who can see the strings." Angela brings the tape to her parents, and her dad doesn't like the fact she picked out a film about a masked vigilante.
People who wear masks are dangerous, Angela, and we should be scared of them.
Angela's father knew firsthand the harm being a masked vigilante can do. His father was Hooded Justice, and we saw how that turned out last episode. Angela witnesses her parents' death, a traumatic event that will shape her into becoming Sister Night. She awakens from her nostalgia trip at Lady True's, who has been allowed to take care of Angela to get her memories flushed out of her system. That's what this arm contraption is for, which, as we see in the tutorial, uses a process called pneumodialysis to flush those memories using a new host. Now, we're led to believe she's connected to her grandfather, but as we'll later find out, it leads to an elephant. More on that in a bit. Cal comes to see Angela, but is blocked by Hologram Bian, who says due to the Millennium Clock starting soon, he's not allowed in. Pirate Jenny and Red Scare are here as well, since technically Angela is still under arrest. In her car, Laurie listens to a recording of Angela's voice when she was rambling high on nostalgia. Recording this conversation has given her more clues about Cyclops, its relation to the 7th Cavalry, and why Judd was killed. These clues lead her to Jane Crawford, who uses a trapdoor to capture Laurie when her plan has been discovered. Jane is working with Senator Keene and the 7th Cavalry to get their men embedded as cops, all the while Keene makes strides for the White House. Never trust Rose's mother. Petey has also been sent to check up on Looking Glass, and it looks like these men who came to attack him 2 episodes ago have all been taken care of. But why did Looking Glass not call it in? And why is one of the men not wearing his mask? Over the PA at True's, we hear a woman say that we're 9 hours away from the Millennium Clock being activated, and that all metal should be removed. We also learn from Peteypedia that True donated free HD televisions to every citizen of Tulsa as a gift for the disruption the construction has caused. My theory is that these TVs will be used as a conduit to mesmerize/hypnotize the Tulsa population. Its signal will be transmitted through the Millennium Clock, either wiping the memories of those who watch it or somehow infusing the watchers with empathy empathy. If people can actually see what it's like and feel the lived experiences of others, kind of like the nostalgia drug allows, it may put an end to the violence, racism, and hate. This idea of empathy is hinted at when Bian enters and performs her Rorschach-like test. She tells Angela her dissertation is on the adaptive function of empathy, hint hint. Angela asks how a girl her age is so smart, but as we'll later find out, Bian is in fact a clone of True's mother, instilled with her mother's memories. In another Angela flashback, we see her at the Home for Girls painting blue Dr. Manhattan nesting dolls. Nesting dolls feature several dolls within a doll, yet another hint of Dr. Manhattan hiding within the outer shell that is Cal. The police ask her to identify the man who helped in the attack that killed her parents, and she even asks if she can listen to the gunfire as they kill him. The female officer gives her a badge, sparking her desire to one day become a cop. It's day 365 of The People vs. Adrian Veidt. The prosecutor finishes her closing remarks blaming Adrian for the deaths of 3 million people in New York, a result of the squid attack / psionic blast, as well as the deaths of their fellow clones. But the biggest travesty was breaking the one law set forth by their creator: thou shalt not leave. The courtroom is littered with evidence like Ozzy's spacesuit, as well as a squid illustration here, which was done by an Indian surrealist painter Ozymandias hired to create designs for the actual squid that would terrorize New York, a painter Ozzy would later kill to prevent the truth from ever getting out. Adrian hasn't spoken or defended himself throughout the entire trial. In fact, his closing remarks are a fart. So the game warden has assembled a jury more suited for a man such as Adrian, a bunch of pigs. But why pigs? Well, it ties into philosophy, specifically an argument against utilitarianism called the doctrine of swine objection. Remember that Adrian killed millions in order to save more in the long run. It's a utilitarian principle that one should always choose the outcome that maximizes happiness for the most amount of people. But the doctrine of swine objection states that if the utilitarian principle that people have no higher objective in life than to pursue pleasure, it shows that people have the same goal in life as that of a pig. Hence the pigs that are brought in, symbolic of Adrian and his uncultured farting ways. Adrian is found guilty as we transition from him crying to the statue of him at Lady True's. And there is a theory out there that Ozzy is actually trapped in that statue. That in episode 4 it was his body, like in some sort of Star Wars carbonite, that Lady True recovered from the Clark farm. We also get this butterfly, a creature known to emerge from a cocoon, like Adrian may emerge from that statue when the time is right. This ties into the theory that True is Adrian Veidt's daughter, continuing his legacy. Remember, she also took over all of his companies. Plus, it also supports her statement that she wants her parents alive to see her accomplishments.
I'm on the verge of completing my life's work. Is it wrong to want my parents with me when I do?
Your dad's here too?
He will be.
This could also mean the message Adrian wrote on Europa wasn't "Save me, Dr. Manhattan," rather, "Save me, daughter." Another theory is that Adrian Veidt has been with Lady True all along, but in a coma-like state. He's in his own prison, that of his mind, a prison he put himself in after driving himself mad from the memory of killing all those people in New York. We know that nostalgia resulted in people reliving their worst memories of their lives, unable to let go of the past. Lady True may be looking to free Adrian from his prison, this past, allowing him to come back to the real world in order to stop the 7th Cavalry from their plans of creating a new Dr. Manhattan. Let me know which theory you think is more plausible, or if you have your own in the comments below. We're back with Lori, who is tied up with a giant Cyclops image behind her. It kind of looks like it's a weird combination of the Dr. Manhattan symbol mixed with the squid eye. We're in the abandoned mall that Looking Glass discovered a few episodes ago, and some of these True Company devices have been seen placed along the perimeter of the portal we saw them testing. Keen reveals himself to Lori, saying it's hard being a white man in America today. She says she doesn't give a shit, but Keen quips that she, of all people, should, especially when he hints that he's going to become a blue man, aka Manhattan, her ex-lover. My best guess is that they are setting up some sort of trap for Manhattan, in which these True devices, which I think are tachyon emitters, which we know can affect Manhattan's powers, will be used to weaken him, allowing allowing some sort of transference of power. Lori may also be used as bait, considering the history Manhattan and her have. Instead of it being used to transfer power, it might also be used to just turn Keen into a new Dr. Manhattan type character. While Lady True gives a speech of all of her accomplishments, including building a microfusion spacecraft, hint hint, Angela breaks into what she believes to be Will's room, only to find her attached to a sedated elephant. Remember back to the tutorial video that in order to get the nostalgia flushed out of her neurons, she'll need a lot of cerebral spinal fluid provided by a natural host. And what better host than an elephant who has a brain 3 times larger than a human's and over 3 times the amount of neurons? It probably has a lot of that fluid she needs. Take a look again at the True logo. An elephant trunk has been staring at us the whole time. Back in Vietnam, June, Angela's grandmother, saves her from a life at the girls' home only to die a few hours later. We learn that Angela's father and her had a falling out after he went to join the army, hence why she's only coming into the picture now. I also like the graffiti in the background here, Dr. Manhattan with blood on his hands with the word murderer. The Vietnamese people must really hate him for his crimes during the war. Angela awakens and makes her escape, only to stumble upon a dark room with a blue sphere of the world. As she clicks on different cities, we see this device is hooked up to the Manhattan phone booth which True owns, the same one Laura used to send messages to Manhattan. True arrives and calls them unanswered prayers. Manhattan isn't even on Mars, he's here in Tulsa pretending to be human. As she says this, Ozymandias' theme plays in the background, another hint that she could be related to him. She says the 7th Cavalry is planning to capture Manhattan, destroy him, then become him, which Angela thinks is just crazy talk. But Lady True gets the last word, wondering why Angela hasn't asked who Dr. Manhattan is. That's because she knows it's Cal. Outside Angela's home, 2 men wearing Rorschach masks watch. One of the best lines of this episode had to do with not being able to tell whether or not someone is good or bad when they're wearing a mask. Could one of these 2 be Looking Glass? My guess is no. Now this is easy to miss, but there's also this device covered up in the back of the truck. My guess is that it will be used to help capture Manhattan and teleport him to the abandoned mall, or perhaps help suppress his powers. Inside the A-Bar home, Cal sleeps with a copy of Ernest Hemingway's For Whom the Bell Tolls, the story of a man who knows he's going to die soon but still falls in love with a young woman. If next week's preview is any indication, we'll see how Angela and Manhattan's plan came to fruition. Angela takes out a hammer and Cal doesn't seem to remember any of their plan, a plan which he says was his idea in the first place. Cal was never in an accident, it was a lie so they could be together for a while. She bashes his head in with a hammer and takes out this magnetic ring from his forehead, which may be some sort of device that was restricting his powers. All we know is that when it was removed, the real Dr. Manhattan emerges, which we see a tiny glimpse of through the reflection on her pupils. The episode ends with David Bowie's Life on Mars, a cheeky nod to Manhattan not having been on Mars all this time. With only 2 episodes left, this season is shaping up to be one of the best shows of 2019. I hope you'll like and subscribe as I plan on releasing more Watchmen videos, and make sure to leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. You can also follow me on Twitter at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.